The back is the foundation of the upper body. Not only adds width, giving you that V-taper look, but it also adds thickness, giving you a more full look. With every foundation, there are the key variables that are essential to its development. Let's find out which back exercises give you the best foundation for stacked upper body. First of all, let's go over the anatomy of the back, since it is the most complex in the muscle groups we work. The lats are the most prominent back muscle, giving that V-taper look. They attach from the pelvis to the inside of the humerus or the upper arm bone. The lats are responsible for shoulder extension and shoulder adduction, and also internally rotate the shoulder. The traps attach from the thoracic or upper spine into the spine of the scapula and mainly perform scapular retraction. The rhomboids are very similar in function to the traps and get trained every time you row. And finally, some often underlooked muscles are the spinal erectors that extend the low back. These can often feel tight after doing some heavy deadlifts or RDLs. Just like with the other muscles, you need lengthening position exercises and heavy compound movements with some isolation exercises sprinkled in. There's so many exercises for the back compared to other muscle groups that it can feel overwhelming as to which ones are the most effective. Hand position and even torso position can have an impact on which muscles are utilized more or less. Pull downs, pullovers, rows, reverse flies, underhand, overhand, and there are a lot more. It's important to consistently pick some exercises and perform them for 3 to 6 months before switching, steadily progressing in a given rep range and then adding weight once that rep range gets easier. The lats can be the trickiest because, again, there's so many options to choose from. There are mainly 2 types of lat exercises, adduction dominant and shoulder extension dominant. I can show you 1,001 different lat exercises, but instead I will show you the general principles and variables you can use and change at your leisure. Adduction dominant movements happen when you bring the arm from an overhead position to the sides. This is done with either an overhand or neutral grip, as these are natural movement paths for these grips and can be done with either pull-ups or pull-downs. Now both these have their advantages and disadvantages. Most people gravitate towards the lat pull-down machine, but one thing to consider is if somebody had big and wide lats, they could probably bust out a good amount of weighted pull-ups. This doesn't exactly mean pull-ups alone will lead to a wide back, but it also doesn't hurt to progress with these. After a while with lat pull-downs, it may be a challenge to get into that position, especially if the weight you're lifting weighs more than you do. Contrast this with pull-ups, where you can set up the weight on a dipping belt, find a lonely bar, and you're automatically set to build some beefy lats. Lately, I've been progressing my pull-ups 1 rep per week, and it's been working out pretty well for me. The first week I do 15 reps total, supersetting these with some sort of lateral raises. Every set I stop 1 rep shy of failure. I do this as many times as I need to get to 15 reps total. For example, I started with 25 pounds and I could do 8 reps to failure, so my first set I only did 7 reps. My second set I got about 5 more reps, and for my third set I did 3 more reps, totaling 15 reps for that day. The next week I would do the same thing, but 16 reps instead of 15 reps. I may still get 7 reps the first set and 5 reps the second set, but I added 1 more rep to the last set and put in slightly more work than I did the week before. I continued this week to week until I totaled 20 to 25 reps for 1 workout. Then I would increase the weight by 10 to 20 pounds and repeat, starting back at 15 reps total. I've been doing this for the last 3 to 4 months, and it's actually been very fun, and I've seen some great results. Interestingly enough, some researchers tested how stopping pull-ups at 25% velocity loss and 50% velocity loss would differ in terms of lat growth. They took 34 trained men and separated them into 2 groups. One who did pull-ups to 25% velocity loss, and the others who did pull-ups to 50% velocity loss. Basically, one group went closer to failure on the pull-up than the other group, and they tested them for 8 weeks, with 2 training sessions of pull-ups per week. They found the group that performed only 25% velocity loss got greater strength gains and improved their max pull-up reps more so than the group going to 50% velocity loss. This is great because we get less fatigued and get greater strength gains and muscular endurance gains, the best of both worlds. Now, to answer the question of whether to go with a wider grip to get wider lats, this study showed similar EMG for the lat pull down with a narrow, medium, and wide grip. EMG isn't exactly the end-all be-all, but as far as I know, there are no studies comparing lat hypertrophy with different lat pull down or pull-up grip widths. So until research compares this, EMG is the best we have to go off of. And it makes sense too. As you see with my lats, the wider I go with my grip, the more contracted my lats get at the bottom. This is the opposite of what we want. We want the most stretch possible at the bottom of the movement. We know from other research that it's this lengthened position where we get the most hypertrophic stimulus from. The wider we go, the less the lats get stretched compared to a medium or narrower grip. Now for the shoulder extension dominant lat exercises, an underhand or neutral grip is used for compound exercises, such as with chin-ups, And an overhand or neutral grip is used for isolation exercises, such as with cable lat prayers or lying dumbbell pullovers. I know you're already asking, which is better? Well, based on some other EMG data from the study, it appears that an overhand grip has more lat activity than an underhand grip with a lat pull down, but had no influence on middle trap and bicep activity. Again, this is just EMG data to show muscle activation. It doesn't necessarily mean more lat growth. As far as I'm aware, we need more studies to determine whether or not an overhand grip versus an underhand grip is better for lat and overall back development. For now, I would say use whatever grip you feel best. As long as you progressively overload the amount of weight you can lift over time, I don't think it'll make a major difference. After all, using an underhand grip theoretically stretches out the lats more, which we know is important for muscle growth. It also doesn't hurt to switch grips every couple months to keep training from going stale. This study compared doing just one leg exercise versus doing a variety of leg exercises for quad growth and showed the varied leg exercise group grew bigger and stronger quads. I find no reason to believe this can only be applied to the quads. I think variety, to your point, can be beneficial for building muscle for any body part. As far as other shoulder extension dominant lat exercises, there are cable lat prayers, chin-ups, dumbbell lat pullovers, seated cable rows, incline dumbbell rows, single arm dumbbell rows. The list goes on and on. What I want you to consider is, 1, what do you have access to? If you don't have a seated cable row, then obviously you can't do seated cable rows. If you're doing barbell bench presses and need to be superset it with another exercise to save time, you're probably not going to drag the incline bench over to the flat bench to do incline dumbbell rows. Let's face it, you have a lot to choose from. Number 2, what do you personally feel the best with? I'm not a huge fan of doing dumbbell lat pullovers crossways across the bench, as they can bug my shoulders and back, so instead I do them flat on the bench. Number 3, what can you progressively overload? If you can't load dumbbell lat pullovers the best, nor progress in weight or reps, is it really doing you any good? When doing any of these exercises, make sure the line of resistance follows your elbow path when bringing your arms to the sides. For example, as you see with this example of dumbbell incline rows, I'm bending my arms too much and the weight isn't following the line of force my elbows are moving in. This means my biceps are taking on more tension than my lats, rhomboids, and traps, and I can't lift as much weight. Contrast that with this video showing the dumbbells following the line of force my elbows are moving towards. This shifts more tension onto my lats, rhomboids, and traps, meaning I can lift more weight and more tension on the target muscles, perfect for hypertrophy. There's nothing special about any of these exercises besides the fact that the incline dumbbell rows can help you hone in on your mind-muscle connection. The single arm supported dumbbell rows can be superset with almost any other upper body exercise, and the seated cable rows allow for a nice deep stretch not only of the traps and rhomboids, but also the spinal erectors. These also don't need as many warm-up sets or setup to perform either. You can adjust these to make them more lat focused or more trap and rhomboid focused with hand positioning. For the most part, hands closer to the body is more lats. Hands further from the body means the traps and rhomboids get hit more. One of the most important cues is to round your upper back during the lowering phase. This fully stretches out the traps and rhomboids and also gives the lats a decent stretch, which you know is great for hypertrophy. I try to do one adduction focused exercise and one shoulder extension focused exercise per workout with some isolation sprinkled in as preferred. For the rear delts, refer to the shoulder video here or in the description below. 3 to 5 sets of 6 to 20 or more reps is the general ballpark for most back exercises, as the back can take a lot of volume compared to other muscle groups, since in most back exercises, most of the back muscles are helping, at least to some degree. Honestly, the best way to progress back exercises is simply by adding reps and then weight. With the amount of volume you'd be doing altogether, your progression with each back exercise will quickly stack on the others and help them out. Cheat reps are also a great way to sneak in more reps near the end of your last set or two. Lengthened partials are also great for isolation exercises, but from my experience, not so much with compound exercises. You'll quickly find you can move a good amount of weight around with these easy to implement progressions. Preferably do more lat compound exercises first, then a row variation, then isolation exercises, which can also double as lengthened exercises. These are the main secrets to developing that wide and thick back we all envy. Training your back can be fun, so it can take a lot of volume and be fairly easy to progress. There's so much more I can talk about for back training. If you guys want another video like this or to go more in depth on back training, let me know in the comments below. I hope you found this video helpful. Like this video if it was, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys here in the next video. Bye for now.